In the late 80s and early 90s, there was a trend in the games industry, which was to try and push a recognizable face in front of audiences. Everyone saw how well Sonic and Mario were doing, so pretty much everyone and their grandma decided to create their own mascot. And while these Me Too mascots sometimes did really well, like Firebrand from the Gargoyles Quest series, or Sparkster from Rocket Knight Adventures, they only did well because those games weren't trying to be quick cash-ins to push a brand. No, these games pushed a brand respectively, in that they understood their character. They gave them a personality, sure, but they made sure their character could do more than jump and run and have attitude. They made sure that their games were unique and fun. I mean, for every one of these games, there was about a dozen that failed. See Awesome Possum, or if you want to see the king of them all, Bubsy. And these failed simply because they were trying to create a series, not really trying to create a unique identifying game. And because they put building a series before actually building a quality game that people would want to play, they failed horribly. And thus we come to the topic of this video and the end of this very long introduction, where we talk about Ristar, the little game that couldn't, but really should have, and didn't for a very stupid reason. And I'll get to that later. Now the story is pretty simple. This evil villain guy named Greedy tries to brainwash all the leaders of a galaxy. The remaining unaffected one sends out a plea for help to summon a hero to their aid. But that plea goes completely unheard because that hero gets captured by Greedy. So the plea gets sent to his son, the shooting starfish Ristar, and he has to come save the day. While the story itself isn't terribly interesting, what is interesting is you're not necessarily the hero of the tale, but rather the next guy over. This means that this character isn't full of attitude and knows that he's gonna win. No, he's just kind of a newbie. And you can see this in every level because his idle animation, it just shows his inexperience. Like, on the snow planet, he'll start building a little snowman. He understands he's trying to save the world, but he's not above getting distracted. And that's really cool because that means this character is already full of personality. Now, whereas Sonic tried to go through platforming fast, and Mario tried to just have solid, quick, simple platforming, Ristar does something completely different with its platforming segments focused entirely on exploration. And what I mean by this is there are several alternate routes throughout pretty much every level. Ristar's abilities are jumping, which if you even try to attack an enemy, you'll just take damage, and grabbing things with his large elastic arms. Now what's interesting about this is that means Ristar can fling himself into enemies, and even use them to find different paths to go back and find new treasure and stuff. On top of this, you can use this to rebound off of walls and gain a ton of extra height, and most walls even have a few hidden secrets about them if you're willing to do so. But unlike those other games, Ristar is not a game meant to be played quickly. Ristar the character moves very slowly. The only time you move quickly is in the few levels that have water, because he's a starfish, and when you grab a shooting star pole. And these only exist at the end of a stage, which allow you to get extra height for a bonus when you cross the finish line, and somewhere in a midpoint during certain stages, which allows you to find a bonus room. You find these things by attaching yourself to the bar, and then spinning in one direction, building up momentum slowly, and then rocketing yourself off into the distance. This is really cool, but it's very difficult to control, and it does require a lot of experience. But it's not above allowing you to mess up, because unless you fling yourself over the finish line, you can always come back and try again. And even if you just fling yourself directly into the dirt, you'll bounce off very quickly, and you'll still have a chance to recover to go look for that bonus room or whatever. In fact, they generally give you a few rebounds before you lose momentum, so you really can screw up a few times just to get an idea of what's around you and what you should be aiming for. And that's great because it allows you to really master this ability. Every planet you go to has 2 levels, and every planet has its own personality to accompany them. The first level's a grass world, the second a water world, the third one's a fire world, which I try to avoid like the plague because that level's really tough. Fourth is a music world, fifth is an ice, there's a few more after that, but I only recorded that many. And, well yeah, the fire world has fire and the ice world has ice, each level introduces different mechanics to complement them. While the fire world has fire, it also has traps that activate a raging inferno and explosions, and you have to try and find a way to trigger the trap without using your own body, or you're gonna get caught in it. And that's cool. The ice world has a snowball fight with one of the bosses, which later comes to your aid if you manage to beat him. The water world has swimming, of course, but it also has jet turbines, which will push you into spikes if you're not careful. And the music world has you develop a symphony as you platform, and in turn that symphony follows you through the second level and boss stages. The levels are really quality. They're expansive, and there's tons of different routes and hidden treasures and stuff, and you're gonna have to play through the game several times just to find it all. It is great. So in the end, gameplay can basically be distilled down to getting thrown into each unique environment and trying to explore all the different ways you can interact with it. The soundtrack is incredibly impressive. I mean, first of all, there's an entire level devoted to this soundtrack, but if that wasn't enough, let me just play the Planet Clear victory theme, and I'm sure that'll win you over. The sound effects work, and there's even voice clips. The aesthetic is fantastic. Ristar was released during the tail end of the Genesis' life, so at this point, everyone knew how to utilize the 16-bit Wonder Console's palette to its fullest potential. In fact, when I played through this, I was surprised at how many different colors I saw on screen at once. I was surprised that the Genesis could do that. It floored me. It was a very beautiful game. There's tons of different colors, tons of contrast, bright, it's cheery for the first couple levels, the fire level not so much, but that's by design. And it just looks gorgeous. And there's tons of nice little neat things about it too. Like, halfway during the second level, the sun goes down and the world goes dark, but there's illumination in the forest as you walk, and you can see little owls in the background dancing about and stuff. It is cool. There's tons of other neat little visual things too. Like in the second world, when the water starts rising, if you dive down, the screen gets darker to simulate how far away from the sun you're getting. And you can swim back up and it'll become brighter. There's tons of different animations as well. Ristar has his own independent idle animations for each and every world, and that is really cool. In fact, it took me, I have no idea how many playthroughs of this game before I realized it, because I just realized it as I was recording it for this review. That is mind-blowing. There's an insane number of different enemies, which all try and fit the theme of the level. In fact, the only one enemy that I ever see repeated off the top of my head are the generic little green jelly bean guys. And that's kind of a shame. Those guys were just weird and out of place, no matter what level you seem to go to. Ristar just screams quality. And because this game is so well put together, you're going to want to play through this game several times just to find all the hidden bonus stages, and all the hidden routes you may have missed, or you simply didn't know things were possible. Ristar also has the distinction of having a water level that you actually would like to play rather than drown yourself in your own toilet. So, if that's not a compliment, I don't know what is. And the game is just fun to play. I mean, for perspective, for these reviews, I like to get 2 or 3 40-minute clips of video together, just to make sure that I have enough to represent the game well. Well, by the time I thought I was done my first 40-minute clip, it turns out I'd been playing the game for about 2 hours. So, yeah, it's fun, and you can lose yourself in it. And now we come to the sad ending of the story of Ristar. Because Ristar was released so late in the Genesis' lifetime, not that many people picked it up, and not that many people know about it. At the time, many people were moving on to the N64 and PlayStation 1. I know I personally was probably just getting into the Sega Saturn at the time, and then immediately not having anything to play because the Saturn only lasted about a year. And now I'm sad. But the point is, Well, Ristar failed because of a very, very incredibly dumb reason. That means you can pick it up incredibly cheap, because very few people know about it and there isn't a ton of demand for it. And that's probably the one silver lining to all this. And if you don't have a Genesis, it's all cool, because Ristar was released on several independent collections, including a few, oddly enough, Sonic-centric collections, like Sonic Mega Collection. That was an unlockable on there for reasons. You can also pick it up on the Ultimate Genesis Collection, which I'm still not sure I'd call this collection Ultimate, but it's pretty good. Even lets you resize the screen, which I did improperly because my recording equipment records at a different screen size than my TV displays. So you're probably looking at about half a border at this moment. Sorry. But the point is, you can get this game very inexpensively and with very little difficulty. So if you're looking for a Sega Genesis game to play out there, skip Awesome Possum, for the love of God skip Bubsy, pick up Ristar. It's really damn good, and if you're looking for another one, Dynamite Heady. But you didn't hear that from me.